today is going to be a very, very interesting day because we have everything planned around the Rage of the Abyss format. So it's going to be, basically we're going to focus on this. Going to show a new deck list that I've been thinking about for Rage of the Abyss. I'm going to explain where I'm coming from with the deck list, and we're going to show about like 3 different approaches that we can go for the list. Damn, my tea is hot. So I think it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be a lot of good stuff, especially as you guys are planning to play the deck in the coming format. I think it's gonna be really cool to we're gonna cover some of that, and hopefully we get to answer some of the doubts that you guys might have about the deck, the Ritual Beast deck coming Rage of the Abyss. So before I begin, just want to make sure I have this open. So we have the spreadsheet. We have some videos. Okay, I think it has everything I need here. So so I was thinking just to jump right in, and we're gonna cover Rage of the Abyss. I also wanna see if we can play some today, play some matches, and also I do have some Infinite Forbiddens that I have been kind of piling around. I normally pile around boosters until I have a live stream, but I stream so regularly that I start piling out boosters, a bunch of them. So I have I only 5 today. I have a bunch of tournament packs too that we can open too if we want. So I think we can get started. So first, let's start. Obviously, the main theme for the deck, looking into Rage of the Abyss, the main theme for the deck is the Fuwalos, no? I keep calling Fuwalos just because I'm so used to seeing the name in the OCG. But we have that. There's about 3 impactful cards, at least, or 3 and 5 impactful set of cards, I should say, about Rage of the Abyss, no? So we have the Azamina cards that are gonna become part of the Snake-Eyes deck, and that deck is gonna improve a little bit. We have the Dominus Impulse, which is the new Dominus card that is gonna be able to be played probably in dark decks, probably Jubel, between other decks. We have the Fuwalos that is gonna be basically a format defining card, no, coming forward. So we get started. Let's get started first with the Azamina cards, and just so we can cover the cards first, we can cover the cards the best. This is basically how the new Snake-Eyes builds are looking like. You notice there's gonna be changes here. Obviously, this is the OCG, so you notice they still have Beatrice here. They still have Apple here. So I still have some cards here that we're not gonna have, but the build is still gonna be sort of similar to this one. You have to remember also there is the new Lacrima, and this is the main deck, Lacrima. And this is just a Fieldsmith card. And the important thing about this card is that simply it's another Fieldsmith name. So when they're doing the combo now, because well, I guess in the OCG they only have 1 Fieldsmith. They have this one to search, no? So this is gonna be played also in format, I feel, but I feel the backful cards are gonna actually be, at least for this deck, are gonna be the Azamina cards. Now, what are we talking about with the Azamina cards, no? The main thing the Azamina cards do is that they allow you to set up, it's a really easy way for you to set up an Omni Negate before you commit to a board, no? So you have this spell trap that say you can trigger a monster as Azamina card, no? So the important thing is that you have this, and you have this card over here that say reveal Azamina, and basically this allow you to go into the fusions. So you have 2 different fusions. You have this one that is the Murcielago, and this one is not as troublesome as the one next to it. This is the important card, I would say the most important card of the whole package. and that's the Ilia Silvia. And this one, the important thing with this card is that it is an Omni Negate. So you can tribute this card, negate that effect, and this is when our opponent activates a card effect. So it negates anything, no? It's a one-time Omni Negate, the tribute itself as cost, no? And that's gonna be important in just a second. The other card in here that I wanna catch the attention into is the Hallowed Azamina. And this one is the spell, and this one is the one that allows you to fuse. And this has an important thing in here. Sorry, not this one. The continuous spell that gets you the other spell. So this one, the interesting thing here is I say you can tribute one monster from your hand of field, no? Now the Azamina cards, at least from the point of view of a ritual-based player, we're not as concerned about this new support as maybe other decks could be, and the reason behind it is because this card in here and this card in here, the Omni Negate, both of them are covered by Ulti Ray Rotary. So you notice this one tributes here as cost. You can tribute one monster from your hand of field. So this is covered by Ulti Ray Rotary. They cannot do this on the Ray, and this one is also tribute, so it's also covered by Ulti Ray. So both these cards are actually, I feel they're not gonna be as impactful. I feel they make the deck better, but I do think that with the changes that happen in the ban list and some of the restrictions that these cards are gonna have playing against ritual based, I don't think they're gonna be as impactful as we might think. I do think that the deck is still gonna be around. I don't think it's gonna be probably one of the top 3, maybe top 4 decks of the format. Now this also opens an interesting door here, because now if you look at the deck, you have additional, this works as an additional dark engine for the deck, no? So now we also have this, we have the light cards with the, all the Finsman stuff. We have the dark cards with the Azamina Sylvia and these cards. So it's interesting because often you will run into Ritual Beast combos where you won't be able to lock fire very well. And we're gonna go into this later on, but if you don't have, if you don't play cross ship, you have certain lines that cannot lock fire. So that playing around the Viru and lock fire, I should say. So that's gonna be interesting. Because locking dark, just in general, will affect this deck more than what it does right now. So that's going to be interesting to see how that develops moving forward. Huh? Now, that is the Azamina cards, and I feel those cards are going to make the Snake-Eye decks better, but it's not going to be, I don't feel it's going to be as impactful as the other cards that we're going to talk about next. So. Now the next card that I think we can cover is the Dominus Impulse, and Dominus Impulse is a very interesting card when you're playing Ritual Beast, because Dominus Impulse, you haven't read it. It basically is a special summon negation. So it says your opponent controls a card. That line, we're gonna go back to a line a little bit. You can activate this card from your hand. When a card or effect is activated that includes an effect that special summon a monster, negate that effect. And if you have a trap in grave, destroy that card. No? Now the important thing here obviously is this. And also the restrictions is something we can also talk about. So the restrictions here for light, earth, and wind. Now, if we look at top in deck list, we have here, let me go to tournament TCG. We have, let's just check the, I wonder if I can just go to regular search here instead, so we can see the list. So looking actually into some Malice deck list before this. So we go to tournament TCG. Just wanna see if I can find the Lilith. Guess I'm gonna have to. Oh, there we go. YCS Lilith. YCS Lilith. All right. So if we go to the top deck list here, we're gonna have the Jubel. We're gonna have, well, obviously it's Europe, so there has to be a plan deck. We have Tempire. We have White Forest. We have obviously Ritual Beast, Snake-Eyes, and one other like purely Chimera, all these decks, no? Now Jubel, for the most part, apart from the Fiendsmith engine, you're gonna be able to run the Dominus cards without issue because you see everything here is dark, pretty much. Now the build will change a little bit because you notice some of these, so this is very interesting to me. So we have this, no? And we have the Dominus card, no? The Dominus card say that when a card is activated, that includes special summon and activation, if you activate this card from your hand, you cannot activate the effect of light, air, or wind monster for the rest of the duel. So you cannot do light, air, or wind. So these builds are gonna have to change here a little bit, no? You cannot do wind, so you're gonna so they might still include draw, they might not, depending on how it form up now, no? And Nibiru slide. So one thing that will happen that will be interesting is that if they Dominus you, you know they cannot activate NIP. So if one hand trap, so Dominus Purge works really well as a hand trap by itself in this way, unless they has obviously something that match with the archetypes, no? Like something like Ash Blossom, which is fire. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's pan out because I think what's going to end up happening is that it's going to be a one-to-one replacement of less impactful hand traps for more impactful hand traps, no? So what I'm saying is that Dominus Impulse is going to come in and maybe they are not going to play Baylor, for example, no? Which will make a lot of sense. Now this deck list can play Dominus Impulse, as we were mentioning. And the only thing that I turn off is the Fiendsmith engine. So that's the only change that it's gonna have. Now the other deck list that is gonna probably play this is gonna be the if we can go back to Lilith, it's gonna likely be the Fiendsmith Snake-Eyes list, no? And that list is gonna get better. Oh, I thought it was one here. Oh yeah, it says Farking, there is no list. But that list is gonna get better. So something like what we were looking into earlier. This list is gonna probably play it. Now something that's interesting here is that you notice this is a list from the OCG, no? And there is not Dominus Impulse in the main deck, which I find very interesting. Because we are thinking about these cards, obviously I feel it's a no-brainer in Jubel, but in other archetypes like this one, you have to think about it quite a bit. Because you're playing the Fiendsmith package is more important. And not only that, you are also playing the extra deck, some cards that can conflict with it, no? So yeah, so that's gonna be interesting to see if they end up adapting it. Have to remember it's light, earth, and wind, so obviously we cannot play it. Now for us, you know, if you're playing Ritual Beast, the main thing that the Dominus Impulse is going to do is that Dominus Impulse, and I guess it makes the more sense to explain this with showing a combo or something. So Dominus Impulse, the main thing that is gonna affect, and the important thing with Dominus Impulse, line that we want us to focus on is that when a card effect is activated, each your opponent control a card. That line is important. So what is gonna end up happening, if I go here to the board, what is gonna end up happening is that you're gonna start your combo, no? You're gonna start with your Elder Kanaha, for example, no? Your normal Elder, normal Kanaha, Kanaha effect. Banish this. Fuse. You're gonna go into Ultikanaha. You're gonna use Ultikanaha effect, no? And you're gonna go ahead and you target your Lara, you target your Elder, and you're gonna change the effect to the Fuse. What happened with Dominus Impulse is that currently you control no cards. So Dominus Impulse cannot be activated at that point. So your first Kanaha search is free, if we put it that way. So now you summon your monsters. Summon these two back. We search. If we're playing around Nip, we put Lara in hand. Use Kanaha effect. If we wanna be secure, and obviously there's always the question here, no? If you wanna be secure against middle Nip, you banish the Rampengu. If you are not, if you are okay with maybe being susceptible to middle Nip, you banish the Steeds, but you got the Steeds for your Ember, no? So it's always this in here. Let's say this time we wanna be 100% sure. We don't get, we think our opponent might know the deck really well and Nip was at the right moment. So we get the Rampengu vanish, and we go ahead and go this. Got this. We got this. And now here, interesting enough, here they can Domino Source. And it's funny because right now you will think that the most susceptible card, and we're gonna go over one more combo, I guess it makes sense. The most susceptible card will be the Ultikanaha, but why not happening is that they have to do it here. Otherwise, you just go for you just go Gaiapelio here, no? And then you're protected against the Dominos, and you're protected against hand traps because you have an Omni negate, no? So it's gonna be interesting to see how people end up playing it. Now the one thing that the Dominus Impulse does is that it makes your lines that are not as good. So your lines that are not basically Elder Kanaha, Lara is very susceptible to it, obviously. Those lines can have troubles, you know. For example, if we start with Kanaha and you banish the Lara, if the Dominos here, you have nothing, no? So that's gonna be the main issue. The lines that cannot play, the lines that are not the best lines of the deck, are gonna struggle against the Dominos. New hand trap, no? But in a way, it's sort of just like a new hand trap, no? Like for example, if you summon Kanaha and you have a follow-up, you activate Kanaha effect, and Ash Blossom, not an Ash Blossom, sorry, the Abailer also kill you here, you know? This is the same deal, so that's something to keep in mind. Like, while it is obviously it's a stronger hand trap, that's the reason why they're gonna be playing it. It is not like, you know, it's relative strength, no? It's not gonna be the end of be all of the other strategies, no? Or decks. So that's basically Dominus Impulse. Now, apart from that, this card, the other thing that is kind of interesting is similar to what Dominus Purge does, is that you have one in the grave. She has a trap in the grave, so this pairs really well with Impermanence, for example. So you have a trap in the grave, you are able to go ahead and use one and then use the Impulse, and you get rewarded by destroying the card, no? Which is extremely impactful, no? Obviously. Not something that we have to be as concerned about, because we do have the Lara protection, so that could even lead to some misplay by the opponent. So it's gonna be interesting. Like in the Elder Kanaha combo that we were doing earlier, that's like they want to destroy with Impulse. You can protect with the Lara and summon another monster and keep the combo alive. No? So That's gonna be interesting. So that's Dominus Impulse, and I feel this and the Azaminas are gonna be interesting cards. The Dominus Impulse have way more potential later on, though. I think once we start talking about Malice, once we start talking about, and we're gonna touch on that in a little bit. Once we start talking about code breakers, we're gonna start, you know, seeing more the impacts of these cards, and we can talk better about them. So, I wonder if there's a way to cross. I don't think there's a way to cross things in here. Well, so we covered this. Now, what I think is going to be the most important part of all this. So the Fuwalos, no? So the Fuwalos is there we go. Mulcharmy Fuwalos. This card. So you control no cards. So this immediately make it so if you have cards on the field, you cannot activate it, so it's just a going second card basically. You can discard it, apply this effect, extend your opponent special summon a monster from your deck or extra deck. Immediately draw a card, no? And the last effect in here is something that they put in here with an attempt to balance it, but it's not relevant. If you activate this card, it's just gonna be too much advantage, and if you get to the point that this happened, you already win the game. Like this is not gonna be relevant. It's interesting here. They could have done so much better with this restriction. They could have made it so at the end of the turn you have to discard until you have 4 cards, or you have to put cards back in the deck. Whatever you could have done would have been better designed than this. But well, anyway, so the Fuwalos. So how do we handle this? No. Now Fuwalos is interesting because it is. I'm gonna put my deck in this side for a second. So Fuwalos is interesting because it has a very interesting impact in the format. So we're kind of cool to do this. So it has a very interesting impact in the format. So this will do a couple of things. So the first thing that I want to mention that I find interesting for this discussion is change to the phone I was using. How does this impact the format? So I think something that gets missed in the discussion about this card often is that the Fuwalos is a card that is gonna be a card that every deck has to play against, no? Like you have Tempai players, you have Jubel, you have Snake-Eyes. Coming December, you're gonna have Rachel, you're gonna have Malice. Every deck is gonna have to play against this, no? So how does Fuwalos actually modify the game? You know, what exactly changed when Fuwalos is in the format? That is so true, Rampengu 92, man. It has the highest impact in the format is to the wallets of the players. Oh my god, you caught me off guard. So how will this impact the format? So number one, I think it's safe to say that going second decks are better. Yeah, I saw Jojo's videos. Jojo video. I thought I have it open. There we go. Yeah, I have it open right here. Yeah, I saw Jojo's video. I know he probably gonna make I'm pretty sure he's gonna come up with a follow-up to this one, where he talk more about the deck and that. Yeah. So going second decks are gonna be better, no? Like definitely, obviously, no? Because you don't have to worry, you can only activate this going second. Well, it's gonna make those decks better, no? I should make this an actual list. All right, so this is gonna be one thing. The other one is that you deck stand playing the opponent's turn. So playing in opponent's turn is better, no? So that's another thing that is better, no? If you're gonna go ahead and play in the opponent's turn, you get stop on your turn. If we have the like the old tier elements, you know, they used to play a lot in the opponent's turn, and you know, those decks are gonna be better, no? Right? Now, what other decks are gonna be better? Obviously, decks that doesn't summon from hand or extra, no? So you have your Flonderies players here. You have even some Labyrinth players, and you know, you do summon, but you are playing a way slower deck, and I guess that will be a different point. So control decks are better. So here we have, here's where we can have our Runics, no? For example. So we have these decks are gonna be better. And this is gonna be like Flu. And you have playing the opponent's turn is better. So something like Lab, you know. Decks are good going second. So we have Tenpai, no? So we have these decks, no? Now what else gets better? How else do the Fuwalos change the format here? Well, decks that are able to function better, should deck function better under less summons, no? It's better, no? So, for example, if you have a deck that a deck like the Kashtira deck, for example, you know, you have to special summon, you special from the hand, but how many times you are doing it? Maybe once, maybe twice a turn, you know? So those decks get better, no? So this is basically, I think, the main impact that the cards have in the format, no? So these are the things that change. And this is important to mention because this, when I say things that change, it means obviously compared from the current format, no? And the current format, the best definer that we have for the current format is YCS Lily, no? And obviously these decks are gonna change based on Fuwalos being the format, no? Like the Jubel list that we have here is not exactly the same Jubel list that we're gonna have a week from now, no? Or a week and a half from now. This Tenpai list, the White Forest, all these decks are gonna change, no? Everybody's gonna incorporate the Fuwalos. It's mandatory main deck or side deck, no? Now, this is interesting. So, we have these decks, and something that is interesting to mention here is that then two things become important in the format for your decks. You have two things that become important. So one, you need to have a play for Fuwalos, no? So you need to have some sort of plan, no? So you need to have a plan for Fuwalos, and this can be shorter combos, you know? Or you can go ahead and some form of counterplay, no? And this can be the form of like cross out, this can be call by, you know, all that sort of stuff, no? So this is how the current decks in the format has to modify, no? You have to adapt. And everything in Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, every time that there is new cards released, every time there is a new deck ban list, you have to adapt, the deck change, no? It's the same thing, same reason why a Snake-Eye didn't top in Lilith, but Fire King top, no? Because they're adapting, you're making changes to the deck to make sure you stay relevant, you want to keep playing the same deck, no? So, now let's focus on these two things in here, no? So, plan for Fuwalos, shorter combos. This can be, so right now, a typical deck list. Let's go to the Jubel list again. So, typical deck list in the meta is the best deck list recently. Has 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 hand traps on the main deck, no? There is about 2, no, that you want to draw. So, and obviously the bestials are also here, but they're matchup dependent, no? So 16, 17 could be, no? If you're gonna do a shorter combo with something like Jubel, there's a couple of things you can try to do, no? Like, you can try just to put a Phantom of Jubel on the field and just pass on that, no? That's one monster negate, no? You can try to go ahead and actually just pass and try to play with your hand traps, no? Try to make sure that you stay alive, make sure that you have that Jubel, the spirit in hand, and maybe that survive with that, you know, and play that way, no? Now, the main issue with this is that if you try to do that, that doesn't sound that compelling, no? Like, how many decks are stopped by Jubel, by Phantom of Jubel by itself these days? Not many. So you will have to also open hand traps, no? So that's the way that Fuwalos is changing the game. It's like every deck is gonna have every deck in this aspect. And what I want to make a point in here is that this deck is, for the most part, not gonna be that much different from this deck's ability to play under Fuwalos. And to a certain extent, it's not gonna be that much different from a Ritual Beast deck being able to play through Fuwalos, you know. So I find that interesting. So what that means is that the way that Fuwalos, at least at the very top, you know, we talked about some decks earlier that we put in here. No, we have Tempai, Lab, Flu, Runix, other decks, Kashtira stuff. Fuwalos, at least at the very top, the way that it's impacting the game is that is not actually making, for the most part, one deck better than the other, you know? It's something that all the decks has to deal with the same. Now, the top, at the deck at the very top that does get way better with this is Tempai, all right? So we consider that Tempai is gonna increase the representation, and we look at the most recent results. We have 1 Tempai here. We have 2 Tempais. We have 3, 4 Tempais here. Now you see the Pais is second best deck. So this could be, in a couple of weeks, this could be more like a 25% instead, you know. So we can see something like this happening, for sure. Now from the rest of the decks in here, they were, and obviously the issue, one important thing to point out in here is the issue that with events like this, and with any event pretty much, is that you have such a small sample size, you know. Like, this is just one event, you know, like, and the sample sizes are too small for us to actually make like good judgment on how the format are panning out, no? So we know Fuwalos is gonna make this step better, no? So for the most part, Tempai is gonna increase representation. We might have more lab players trying that out. Maybe a Flu will sneak into top cut. Maybe there will be more Runix players, you know. You have maybe 1 or 2 Kashtira players. I know there were some in here that play a Kashtira engine. I forgot which deck it was, but so you do have, there we go, the poorly list, no? Has the Kashtira engine there. So you do have decks that are gonna become more represented and become better. But for the most part, at the very top, if you think about Jubel, Snake-Eyes, you're thinking about Ritual Beast, it's gonna remain the same, more or less the same. And I feel that that's important to mention, because while we're gonna adapt, obviously, like every deck does, the format, for the most part, I feel is gonna remain closer to what we currently have, you know. Like, I feel things are gonna really change is when Codebreaker comes out. That is in 2 months, I believe, to the day. Yeah. So, all right. So, with this in mind, how do we do this? No, how do we plan for Fuwalos, and how we put counter in place? No. So I think that one more thing before I forget that I think it's important to mention here is that it's interesting because there's gonna be a lot of I feel there's gonna be a lot of doom talk about a card like this when it comes out into format, no? And for good reason. It's a strong card, no? But it's important to also keep things in perspective, you know? Like, if you think about other cards, obviously this is new. This is like the newer card coming out. It's the coolest thing, no? And it's gonna modify the way we're currently playing the game. But if you think about other cards in different aspects, you know, for example, if we go to Row of the King, this is 1,200 people tournament in Shanghai, no? And obviously this is a different format. This was like 4 or 5 months ago. Well, guess what we have? We have 3 Maxx's in the main deck, because obviously it's the OCG, no? 3 Maxx's. Obviously this was before, no? Before the release of some of the new Jubilee cards and that, no? There's 3 Maxx's in here too. And the 4 deck in here, look at that. Top 4, Ritual Beast. 3 Maxx's. So I feel it's important also to put things in perspective, you know. It doesn't mean that, like, obviously things are gonna be difficult. We're gonna have to adapt for the matchup. We're gonna have to adapt for the new card being in the metagame. But it's not gonna be like the end of the deck, you know. It's not gonna be like we're cooked and that's it. I feel that there is more to explore there, you know. And I kind of like, actually, with the playstyle Ritual Beast is kind of moving towards meta-wise, you know. Because the best position a deck can be on for the longevity of the deck, you know. If you're thinking about long term, obviously you have decks that are going to be meta decks, like Jubel. It's going to be here and have been out since, I believe, since Terminal Revenge, no? When they go Phantom. So it's going to be, has been like 3 months as a top deck, no? Now, the best thing that can happen to a deck is basically what is happening with the plan deck. And it's that you have a deck that you can play for years, still being a deck that you can top with if you are dedicated to the deck, you know. And it's more or less what is happening with Ritual Beast, you know. I just found that interesting. Now, another thing that I think is interesting here, and gosh, I wish I had this open, is the conversion rate for the decks, you know. And I feel that's important also to touch on. Like, right now, and Ritual Beast was gonna always has this issue because it's a difficult to play deck, similar to what we're talking about Plan Links. These 2 decks are hard to pilot, so people strive away from them. But if you are dedicated to the deck, you are very rewarded, no? You are heavily rewarded. Because if you dedicate the time, you are able to, the deck is still good. So if you think about, there is 2 things. So there is one thing that is, oh, I just realized my camera is frozen. What the hell? So there is 2 things. While I review, while I try to fix this. Okay. Let's see if this works. There we go. All right. All right, we got it. So where I was at? Oh yeah, so there is 2 things that are important to remember. I think. A tier list, this, for example, something like this is not the same thing as a list of like what are the best decks to play in that format, you know. A tier list is mainly focused on telling you which decks you're gonna face the most in the format, which decks are the popular, that are really the good decks that are popular, no? So when you have let me see if I can find this. So representation. So when you have events, oh, there is not. I think some people make videos, might have decent videos. So when you have decks, you have I think he's showing the video. No. So when you have decks, you have the amount of people that enter a tournament with a deck. And I thought it was really cool that in YCS Lily they did have that number. I think Julio make a video about that. So they do have the number for that, and you will notice the conversion rate for the decks is very important to look into, you know. So find that interesting. So you have here the number for day one, no? You have the deck breakdown, so you have the people that enter the tournament with the deck, no? With the different decks. I want you to notice what decks people are playing, you know, and this is why tier lists are really good for this, no? For if you're going to an event, you're gonna know, okay, this many rounds I'm gonna play against this deck, this many rounds I'm gonna play against this other deck, stuff like that. That's really good, really good about the tier list, really good. So you have Fiendspin Jubel, you have Stempite, 12%, Runic 12, Fiendspin Snake-Eyes, that's 7, Branded, Labyrinth, Voiceless, and then you have these others, no? Now, something interesting is that then in the top cut becomes something like this, no? And I found that interesting. So, and I really wish we have this for more events, because it really showcased like what decks are the ones that are actually performing well, you know. Like for example, 16% went to a tournament with Jubel, with Fiendspin Jubel, and double that percentage in top 32, no? You have 34%, no? And you have other decks that perform differently. So you have something here, like you have the Fiendspin Snake-Eyes deck, you know, 7%. When you get to the top cut, less than 6%. I'm assuming this is probably 3%, which will be one topping list, no? So I find that many decks, like the stuff like the Ritual Beast deck, the plant decks, which are not that highly represented, are actually, can be said, you know, just because of representation and the variance that we have in the game, that are actually better than what people give credit to normally, you know, when you have a tier list like this. So all of this is to say that, you know, the deck is gonna still be good, you know. We are gonna have to adapt to playing against the new Fuwalos, and we're gonna have to make changes to the deck, no? Now, what are the changes we're gonna make? So let's go ahead and cover that. Cool. All right. So let's see how we can think about the deck list, no? Now, for the most part, and I know I think in my channel I just posted a deck list 2 weeks ago, I think. So we're gonna have a lot of this is gonna look the same, no? 3 Elders, 3 Laras, 3 Kanahas, 3 Pengus, and we have the 5 one-off, no? And I still think Petalfin is a good card to have in the deck, you know, for going second. And also sometimes you just need that extra name, no? And I know, at least if we make a comparison, I know, just 1 second, if I move this a little bit to this side, that works a little bit better. If we make a comparison, I know Jojo wasn't playing on his list, no? Because I know one of you guys mentioned Jojo's videos earlier. But I still think Petalfin is worth including, you know? Obviously, it's a brick. It doesn't help us with combos unless obviously we have inheritance. So I still think it's important to include. I still liking it to solve boards going second. Now we have these 5 cards, no? The 5 one-offs. Apart from that, we have the 3 shifters. I should move this away. Obviously, that's gonna be there. And one thing that I'm liking right now, because it's gonna be the start of a new format, and the format is gonna be very open, is that we have flag, we're gonna have corridor too here, no? So I know obviously everybody played these ones, but I think right now it's good to have corridor in the deck. And I know Herman, the top in list, the top 8 list, also played this. So. And the reason for corridor here is there is another reason that I'm gonna cover in a little bit, but mainly is that the format is gonna be very open. And I think depending on the size of your event, you might want to play corridor, or you might want to play another card, and we can cover that later. So corridor is good for smaller events, like if you're going local, somewhere where you expect to have a diverse format, you know, at least more diverse and on top. And interesting enough, this package make it so Ritual Beast is a deck that works better when there is a less diverse format. So we prefer when things are like tier 0, for example. Just because that way we can go ahead and Proto Skullfire that cover the whole top card, no? So, apart from that, and I know top in this only play the YCS Lily, they only play 2, but I do think that you need 3 Inheritance. I think it's just too important to have that consistency there. So, I think 3 Inheritance is very important, personally. You do want that consistency. Now we're gonna have the 1 pot. Same reason from before, you want to have the consistency, no? So for this part of the video, I miss some of the sounds recording. It's missing the audio. So basically, I'm just gonna retell why I mentioned the video. So basically, what we're doing is that we are adding steel board breakers. The thing that I like about board breakers here is that you can have you can be successful while having it feels like you need to have more hand traps to stop your opponent than the ability for you to have board breakers that you can have with a 6 card. What I mean with that is that with board breakers normally you need 2, and you can draw the second board breaker as the 6 card. With hand traps, sometimes 2 is not even enough. You know, if you're playing something like against Jubel, you're able to hit something before Phantom, that's good, but then when Phantom's on the field, the second board breaker, the second hand trap is not gonna do anything, no? Obviously, unless it's Dominus or Impermanence, but for the most part, that's the way, you know, that's the way I'm thinking about this. I like the Calvice here because the main thing is that with the Calvice is that the Calvice gives us another out for the Fuwalos, and also make the deck 41, so we have a easier time side. You know, if you guys recall what we saw, Julio was talking about this like a month ago when we interviewed him. That's basically the reason behind that. That will help us siding a lot, and when I go to sided patterns later in the video, you guys will notice that. So now another thing I want to mention here is that another way to play around Fuwalos is to actually change the way you make combos and put alternatives for that. And this is something we still have to test out. Personally, I've done a little more testing this week. Not liking this approach so much. I feel the bonds, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of the card, but it's something we can try out. You know, you guys can try out on your decks, because bonds, what it does is that it allows you to sort of like cut your combo short. So when you have the bonds, you can go ahead and instead of doing the full combo to go into raid, you can go to raid right away, and that can help you with the combo. You know, can help you combo. Now, another card that I have not tested actually, one person I just don't like the card is Crossout. And Crossout, obviously, you know, if the Fuwalos is there, the Crossout is gonna be able to hit it, no? Which is gonna be very, very helpful, because then you can keep combo, you know. So that's basically the thing with Fuwalos there. Sorry, with Crossout there. Now here, I'm gonna move forward a little bit in the video here. I have the extra deck, and the extra is gonna be a lot of the same. You're gonna see a lot of the, you know, Ritual Beast part of things are gonna be the same. And then we still have the Link Spider, because I still see people playing Nibiru around. Now, one thing that I think people might start adapting to is that some people might start playing board breakers more, just because I don't think that hand traps is the way to go. It doesn't seem that good against your belt, you know. So, but that's something we have to wait and see, you know. So yeah. So apart from that, the two last cards here. So everything else is things I have touched on before. The last two cards are the Baguska and the Colossus. The Colossus I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Corridor. With the Baguska is interesting because Baguska does allow us to have combos that let the opponent draw one or two cards, and we set Baguska on the field. Baguska can be quite effective depending on the matchup, no? And so that's something that we have to think about, maybe including or not. Baguska, the good thing with Baguska, with the deck too, is that if you think Baguska, you also have the ability to kind of turn on and off the Baguska as much as you want using inheritance. Because when you defuse, you can just change the Baguska to defense position. And that way you are not locked yourself, and you can even attack with the Baguska and then switch to defense position to go ahead and lock your opponent, no? So that's one thing we need to think about with the Baguska here. Now, apart from that, see, I touched on something else. One thing in here that is interesting that I mentioned is that with the Calby and the Shifter, we have, we have 4 cards that are outs to the Fuwalos here. So what that means is that we have about 43% chances of actually playing through the Fuwalos. You know, and what I mean playing with is that, you know, Calby negated or Shifter will lock your opponent so the turn go back to you, know. Now, we can add 3 Ash Blossoms. And I'm saying here we can remove 3 of the board breakers, no? So that's an approach we can go for. And with adding the 3 Ash Blossoms, you have, I believe, the percentage go up to 63%. So that's something that we can consider doing. Now, I'm still liking more having the board breakers in here, but it's another approach we can go for. And I believe from here I was able to fix the audio, so I'm gonna lead you guys back to what is the bot from the live stream over the weekend. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. And let's go ahead and go back to it. Going back to this, that's the big difference we have, no? So we have, with this, we have 42% chances of drawing the card that will be the out for the Fuwalos. With this, we have 63%. Now, when we're talking about Fuwalos, let's say you have dice rolls, you win half of them. So half of the time, half of your matches. So let's say in 8 rounds, you have 16 will be 2. You have around 20. Let's say you play around 20, maybe. Perfecto. You play around 20 matches, no? 20 games, should say. So about 10 of them are gonna be you going first. About 10 is gonna be you going second. No, we're talking about regional. So, if we are thinking about that, the chances of your opponent is 33% chances of having the card that they need, having the Fuwalos. But obviously, this compound with other cards, no? Like if they have Nip, that's also bad for us, all that stuff, no? But for the most part, what we were talking about earlier, I think it's important. I don't think the ratios in the other decks are gonna change, you know. For the most part, I think we're going to be seeing 15, maybe in some cases 18 hand traps. And I think that's going to be the important thing for the format. So I like in this list to start the format with, you know. And we put in this, I guess we should go, let's go first through the side deck before we finish talking about this part. So So it has this in here. And now for the side deck, I'm liking Triage. I'll put it here so it's not covered with me. I'm liking TC and 2 diffusers. And I still don't have my Fuwalos, so I have my printed rare Fuwalos here. I need to get mine, probably order them over the weekend, next weekend. See if I can get a better price on what it's now. But we have 3 Fuwalos. And we have 3 2 lightnings and 1 duster, no? And 3 cards for time here. We have 2 spookies and a cowboy, no? Now I personally really like this 6 cards. I lose something here. There we go. I personally really like these 6 card sided patterns. Just because I feel that with how much engine you play in the deck, it is hard to remove too many cards and has those big like 9 cards that you put in take out, no? Now, at the start, we mentioned that you're gonna play 10 of those matches going first, on average, probably like 10 matches going first, 10 matches going second. Yeah. Sí, es la rareza más barata, ¿no? So you want to play about 10 matches going first, 10 matches going second. About 1/3 of those matches, probably around 3 matches, are going to be defined by the Fuwalos, no? Now, we still have to think about, obviously, it's more hand traps to covers and stuff like that, no? So this is a compounding issue when we think about opponent having 15, 18 hand traps, no? Now, there are some outs or some ways to play around the Fuwalos we're discussing, no? We have 4 in the main deck, that's around 42-43% chances of drawing one of those in games where you are facing Fuwalos, no? Which is not going to be all the games, no, obviously. So, and there is 63 if we also put the TH Blossoms in the main deck, no? Now, another way to play around Fuwalos is to actually, it's something that people have been doing in the OCG against Maxx for a while, and it's to actually play Floodgates. So the same thing we're talking about Shifter, the same thing that applies with TCW and Diffusers. So what that means is that when the opponent is, and I guess I should make more space so it makes sense that these are extra. When the opponent is going to play, on their turn, if you pass and your opponent passes, it comes back to you, no? And then you can go ahead and play. So that's the other way of playing around, Now, I'm liking this list because right now we are not sure how many people are going to be main decking the Fuwalos, to be honest. Like, I think that obviously, if you have a list like Tenpai, you have some decks that are planning to go second, you can go with Fuwalos right away in the main deck, no? Now, if we see everybody playing 3 Fuwalos all over the place, we might want to put Ash in the main, and that's pretty much the only change I will make in this deck list, personally. Because going first, after game 1, you're gonna have 10 outs, no? To the Fuwalos, if we count obviously the hand trap. So now instead of 7, we have 10, and that means that we have almost an 80%, no? Which is a pretty good, it's a pretty good chances of getting at least one card that will allow you to play through the Fuwalos, no? Obviously, some of these, or stop your opponent like TCB, no? So, and obviously some of these will change now. Some of these will change depending on, the game will get into a grind game. If you activate something like TCB, if you Ash Blossom, maybe you can continue with your combo. If you Shifter, maybe they pass and you kill them, stuff like that, no? So, I found that interesting. Now, that's counting about how we build the deck, no? Now, there is other alternatives that we can also build, and that's something I really like about a Ritual-based deck, and why I feel while I know that Fuwalos is going to be an issue, I feel that the deck is not going to be there. I still feel a little bit optimistic about it, because I feel we have alternatives, And Ritual is one of the decks that has the most diverse type of build that you can cover, no? And I think that's worth a lot. So what I was mentioning earlier is you want to change the deck. You know, Ash Blossoms could go in. One of these six, 3 of these 6 cards can go out. We have 7 out. We have around 63% chance of having something that will help us against Fuwaros, no? Now, if we move away from this idea, we have also other options, no? We mentioned the bonds earlier, and we're gonna go back to this in a little bit. But other things that we can do is that we could play the Crossout Designator, which I personally don't like, because the crossouts obviously is just a going first card, no? Now, just because you're playing crossout doesn't mean that it's not gonna, you know, you're not gonna be able to win games going second. Doesn't mean that you're not gonna be able to win games going first without crossout, no? If I remember in the NAWCQ, I think Jorge, who was part of the roundtable, I think he played crossouts, and he was able to still top, you know, the NAWCQ. That's kind of the next thing I want to mention here, and I should have mentioned earlier that one thing with the Ritual Beast deck is that the Ritual Beast deck is really good, and I wish there was more top players playing because of this reason. The Ritual Beast deck is really good if you are a good player, you know? Because the Ritual Beast deck is able to provide you the ability to have a skill expression and more control over the variability that we have in the game than other decks, you know? And I feel as a top player, these decks, being good with Ritual Beast and being good with how good you are with Ritual Beast, I should say, it gives you way more chances of winning than comparing a good and a bad player with a different deck, you know, something like maybe Tenpai, for example. So, anyway, going back to this, Crossout is an alternative we have. I personally don't like it, but it's something I can see people putting in the deck. Now, there is a couple of more options. No, we could also go deeper into the floodgates approach. No, we can go and put in a skill drain, and this won't be diffusor. This probably will be like anti-spell, I would say. And by the way, a quick reason for that is that you don't want to have more than 5 cards in a deck that has the same purpose, just because of the chances of drawing the cards, you know. Because with 6, you get into too many chances of drawing more than one. But that's for another day, no. So we have the skill drain, the anti-spell. Now, we're going to touch on the crush ship in a little bit. The other thing that can go in here, and I guess I'm going to mention the hand traps, some hand traps later, but another thing I want to mention is the draw, because draw does stop does help you against the Fuwaros, no? So that's another way that we can approach it, no? Now the other way that we can approach is something that Jojo has done in the past, is that you play the triple tactics trust, which I'm still missing one of that I need to get, but I just haven't got around to get. There are so many other cards that are more important to get right now. But so we could play 3 trusts, and this package will go together with the ground or the barrier, depending on the matchup, obviously, or even you can put a Black God Laugh instead, each one, no? So there's different builds, there's different approaches that we have, different ways we can go about this. Now, one approach that I find interesting to test out is that if we move away from this, we do have the ability to play a build that will include something more heavy in the hand trap approach, no? So let's take away the board breakers, no? Let's say we're not playing these 9 cards in here, and we have a flex spots here for the 10 one if we want, and we could even get rid of the corridor if we want, you know, if the format is more established, no? So we have 11 spots, no? Now another approach, and this is something I think Julio brought up in the roundtable conversation that we have a couple of weeks ago, is that we could play 3 Purulia, we could trade 3 Fuwaros, And then we can play hand traps with that, no? So we could play 3 Ash. I made 3 Nips. Granted, we take something out in the deck, no? Maybe the Prosperity. So this could be another approach, you know? And in here, we have, there's a couple of positives in here that I'm gonna mention in a little bit. But you have a really good coverage, you know, to draw a lot of cards. And going second, this can be very, very powerful, no? Now, personally, why I don't like this approach the most is because with Ritual Beads, the restrictions, the things that prevent you from playing normally, part of the reason why the deck fall apart sometimes, is not because of lack of resources in hand, it's because of the restrictions of the game itself. What I mean with that is that you only have 1 normal summon, you know? So, and you don't play that many extenders. So you have 3 Telis, Lara, if you have another monster in hand, it's an extender. But for the most part, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't think that's enough to go ahead and be able to play at the highest level, you know? I have a very competitive deck like that. So, for now, I'm liking more the approach of just sticking to the board breakers like we were mentioning. And just playing something like what we have in here, no? But this is stuff we can try it out during the format, no? Like, maybe we want to put the Purules, maybe we want to put the Nibiru's, maybe we want to go into Impermanent instead, maybe we want to try the Dominus Impulse, no? So that's all the stuff we can try, no? Now, one thing I want to mention before we remove the cards from here and we go into gameplay actually, is that the cards that we have in here, the switches that we'll be doing with the main deck will be, put this again in here, put the corridor in the middle, make this in here, and we have 3, 3, no? So the switches will be that we have 6 cards for going first. And again, we mentioned this cover the Fuwalos matchup, not to mention that also cover cards, other scenarios, in this case, these 3 cover scenarios where we get stopped by hand traps, no? And also this give you coverage with against Branded, which is important to have because it's a very bad matchup, no? So, we have the coverage here, and this 6 will be replaced by this 6, no? So we have the 3 Evenlys, 3 Dark Rulers, that's a 1-to-1 replacement, no? Now for going second, which I think is a little more interesting, now you're replacing this. So this is leaving the deck. 2 of these are leaving the deck. 1 of these is leaving the deck. We have, I think I was taking out 1 Eclipse. I think the other one was Corridor. And this is with the understanding that at this point you should have an idea of what your opponent is playing. So you have the 6 cards coming out. And you have, also we have to mention, Corridor, while it's a good extender, you can have better alternatives, no? Going second. And we put in the 3 Fuwalos and the 3 Lightning Storms, and the 2 Lightning Storms and Harpy Feathers, no? So just basically decide the pattern for the deck, and the Ghost Sisters will come in the Ruler on time. The Cowboy will come in instead of Pride Baguska on time, or this actually depends, you know, if you're going first or second, you know. If you're going second, if you're going first, I should say, you can also take out the Nightmare Unicorns, and that will work, that might work better for you, you know. So yeah, so we have the deck, no? Now let's see what we can do with this, and there's a couple of gameplay things that I think is important to keep in mind. We're talking about the deck now in ROTA format with Fuwalos, no? So just pack all this. So one thing I want to mention is that if we're gonna be playing with Fuwalos, there is something that Fuwalos and Mulcharmy has in common that this deck can do. And it's that we have the ability to actually have plays that we can do or get by, things that we can get by with still being able to activate Fuwalos. And what I mean with that is that if we have, for example, let's say we have Selder-Kanaha, for example, we have Fuwalos in hand. So we go Elder-Kanaha or opponent Fuwarosos, no? Maybe we will Kanaha effect, we banish something. And here is where we have to start defining how we want to play the deck and how did we want to go with the combos, no? So we can banish Lara, no effect on the Lara. We can use this too. Go into Kanaha. And here we can decide if we want, we can decide to use the effect, put this back, put these two here, let's go back over here, go into Stitch, so we get them one draw there, use Kanaha effect again, banish Winda, fuse, go into Kanaha, that's two draws, the Kanaha effect, let's see, oh I think I messed up here, I should have done a Pelio first and Pelio come back. We can go the Kanaha effect and we can put two back if we want, or actually we can just pass like this if we want. So the idea behind this is that with the Fuwaros in hand, have one interruption like this. You in the opponent's turn, you know, after you use your Stitch, or even another thing you can do is that instead of having instead of going for a Stitch, you can also go for we were talking about this earlier. You can also have Bones, and Bones can help you with this part of the combo because you can go one. Oops. You can go one, and then your opponent's turn you can Bone. Or you can go ahead and you can go into a fusion. And when you defuse, the fusions are able to detect out as cost, no? So that's something important to remember. So with the Kanaha, when it tag out, you have an empty board. What that means is that going first, if you have Fuwaros, you can go and pass in an ulti Kanaha, maybe get some resources to hand, maybe fill your grave, or maybe put a Steed on board and go for a late Fuwaros. You know, activate Steed first, like we were mentioning earlier, and you can Fuwaros here. And then Kanaha will resolve, and with summon back, you know, you will have your Winda back, and then you at least have something, you know, that you can protect. Now, this is better. Doing stuff like this is better if you're playing Huntress, obviously. So that's just stuff that we have to think about, no? Now, the other thing with something like Bones is that Bones is able to Bones is also able to short circuit some combos, no, like we mentioned. So if we go this, we fuse with the fuse, give your opponent a draw. You can go ahead and search for Bones if you want. You can fuse again, you give your opponent another draw. You will pass in something like this, and maybe this, or depending on how deep you go into the combo, no? After you defuse here, you can go ahead and activate Bones and immediately go for Ray, no? So I have something like Ray effect, Kanaha summon, and then you have a banish and you have a Steve for pop fortuna, with giving your opponent two draws, no? Which, I'll be honest, is not great, but at least it's something we can play with, you know. And something like this, back up with a couple of hand traps can help you survive the turn, and you have more or less a good setup for next turn. So just important things to keep in mind. And that's if we are playing bones. That's why I think that this card, at least in a couple of weeks, might be something we consider including in the deck again. But we have to see. We have to see how things pan out. Just 1 second. Alright, so that's basically the way I'm feeling about Fuwalos. And just to kind of recap on it, I think that the card is going to be obviously really good. I think it's going to be very impactful. But I do feel that the deck is still like it's not the end of the world, you know? Like the deck still has potential, and I think some of the stuff that we mentioned earlier, we were talking about it. Some stuff we mentioned that this actually makes impact all the top decks equally, you know? The only thing is that the Tenpai deck becomes better, no? Because now obviously they focus on going second, they have that, no? And other decks that were maybe tier 2, you want to call them, tier 1.5, Lab, you know, High Flu, Runix, all these decks are higher in the tier list now, no? Like something that we're going to be encountering more. Maybe Tenpai now will be at 25% on tournaments, split with Yubel, maybe they will take over Yubel. And then everything changed into that direction, no? Like, then we can start thinking about, okay, how exactly do we play against Tenpai then? Then we adapt and the meta evolves, no? Now, another idea that some people have been having with the deck, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but one thing that people have been mentioning is that you can also, game 1, you can blind second, game 1. So, the way this will work is that you play the Fuwalos. You have your Fuwalos and you have your where I put the Purulias. You have the Fuwalos, you have the Purulias, no? And you fill your deck with board breakers apart from that. So let's say we have 12 spots. Okay, making some compromises there with Corridor and those cards, no? Or we can even, if we're planning to blind second, we can even remove some consistency cards, no? So you can go with this. You can go with this. Maybe we get rid of 2 inheritance. We don't play this. Corridor is in defense, no? Because probably remove Corridor too, no? So we end up with a decklist that has these 12 cards. And obviously we still have 4 cards that help going second, like Book of Eclipse, no? So if we try to make the deck like this and just blind going second, that also could work. It's something that I personally haven't tested yet. So we will still have the same, you know, the same core of the deck is still there, no? We have this, we have this. This is good going second, so we put it in. We have the 5 1-off. This Tripengo, Trikanaha. Has 3 Elders and 3 Laras, no? There we go. All right, so we have this list. And apart from that, you know, if we're blinding going second, just look at, and this is why I think this approach does deserve a lot of consideration, you know, like it's something we really need to think about and test out. Because while we have these cards in here that are still, you know, going first and going second, look how heavy we are into going second with this. So we're gonna have 9 board breakers, and we have 3 Purulias, and we have 3 Fuwalos, no? And I believe this is 3, 6, 9, 12, 17, 20, 23, 25, 34. Let me see some. 3, I cannot sound. 6, 9, 12, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 35, and 42 here. So maybe we get rid of something else if we can. Maybe we don't play the petal thing. But basically an approach like this also has its merit, you know. Because you are playing so many cards, you are up to 12. Maybe we remove some of this. Maybe we can rid of the prosperity, we think about it. But there is also merit in trying to blind going second, you know. Because this way you don't have to worry about the Fuwalos, you don't have to worry about, I don't know if people are going to be combining Fuwalos and Purulia. You don't have to worry about that. And the deck plays really well into breaking boards, you know. That's why most of the topping lists has board breakers now. So that's another approach we can take. So we have sort of like 3 different ways we can go about this. We can play 3 Fuwalos, 3 Purulias, going second. We need to test that out. We can just keep the approach that we currently have, that is the board breakers approach, you know, and simply maybe put a Kalba in like I was doing. Or we can go ahead and change to a hand trap approach and maybe play Fuwalos ourselves, you know, and still plan to go first. So all of those are like valid ways to build the deck, and that's why I think this deck is it's gonna be resilient. It's gonna be good for a good amount of time because it's resilient, you know. There's so many different ways to build it. The last thing I want to mention before we start talking about Fuwalos is that I'm also liking Baguska in the format because of Fuwalos too. Because one thing that we're mentioning, you know, we're covering earlier, there's 2 different ways to play around the Fuwalos, no? You have short combos and you have the counterplay, no? What you can do is that you start your turn with this, something like this in hand. You can go ahead and go Kanaha, Banish, summon Flag, and Flag search Corridor, and you put 2/4 together to go into Baguska, no? Now, Kanaha by itself can banish Lara. Lara can go ahead and special Rampengu or just special Winda. You go to Force and go Baguska again, no? So we have a couple of options that we can make, and backing up that with a couple of hand traps can also be a good approach to follow, no? So it's a lot of alternatives, and I think it's gonna define a lot. It's gonna be defined a lot by the testing that we do and what we end up finding works better for the deck, no? So that's basically covering the Fuwalos here. So we have plenty of things we can test out, and I don't think the deck is dead. Now, one thing that I'm concerned about, the point that I'm actually very, very concerned about, is after Rage of the Abyss. We can cover that now if we want. And I think the interesting thing that happened after Rage of the Abyss is that we have the new set coming out in December that is Codebreaker. And Codebreaker does plant a lot of issues for the deck. And I think it's gonna be like, I won't be surprised if people drop the deck a lot when Codebreakers comes out. Part of the reason of that is because there is gonna be simply a better shifter alternative. Not a lot of people just try to play shifter decks. But the other reason for that is that the format is gonna move forward quite a bit after Codebreakers. Let's just arrange my extra deck, and we can cover some of that stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So let me change this to this. Make sure that we cover all the points we wanted to cover as gameplay option. Now we have Codebreakers, no? So for Codebreakers, we have two main decks coming out. and these are gonna be Malice. This is just a random topic leaks I found that looks something like this, and you notice it has, it's playing 3 Fuwalos, 3 Maxx, but apart from that, the most important thing in here is that it has 8 monsters in the main deck, no? Yeah. Malice actually is the next deck I'm probably not gonna focus on to the point I'm focusing on Ritual Beast, just because it's a lot of effort to put all the time and resources into making videos and into doing all the research, testing out combo lines, putting the spreadsheet together. But it's the next deck I'm probably gonna play. Now that depends on the pricing of the cards too. It's looking like it's gonna be kind of high. Actually, I wanted to get the OCG version of the deck, but the OCG cards are also expensive, So that's something. But anyway, a couple of important things with Malice here is that one, the engine is very small. So what means with that is that the deck has opportunity to play a lot of hand traps, no? And on top of that, it's playing a lot of hand traps, that higher quality hand traps. We're talking about Dominus Impulse, and is playing Shifter. And if we go to Rizal, the deck is playing a similar build, no? Like you see the amount of cards in the core of the deck, very small. A lot of hand traps, and the deck, there's no side deck on this one, but many of them are side decking or main decking a Shifter, because the deck doesn't lose to Shifter that much, Hey Jorge, how you doing, man? How are you doing today? I didn't see your message earlier. So you have these decks that are the couple of important things with these two decks. One, and this is mainly focused on Rizal, this deck is extremely good, and it's basically a power creep for the format, So the deck is gonna be the new sort of like the new top dog in the town. So there's that one thing about Rizal. Now the other thing with Rizal is that it does not lose to Shifter, So that is do you remember earlier when we were talking about this? I was talking about how the format changed, like what changes they are in the top decks. There were no changes with like the top 3-4 decks. Obviously Tempai jumped off quite a bit, no? But apart from that, it's not like big changes. Well, with this, on the matchups that Ritual Beasts have, with this there is a big change, because this and Malice are good against Shifter, no? So that means that 1 out of 3 games you will go first and activate Shifter, and just basically winning the spots is not going to happen anymore. So that's going to be an issue. And apart from that, these are decks that are very, they're very geared to having 1-card combos. And obviously that's something we already saw with Tempai, but these 1-card combos has not only, these decks with 1-card combo has not only better hand traps, are less susceptible to our best hand trap, and also are able to play in a way that is harder for us to interact with, if you think about it. So that's why I feel it's gonna be troublesome is when December comes around. And I can see a lot of people jumping into this deck in particular. And not only that, I don't blame them, because these two decks also has the promise that they are being released on one of these deck building packs. And those normally get really good legacy support. They get really good, I shouldn't say legacy support, they get really good support later on, no? Different from something that is a side set that gives you legacy support, like in the case of Ritual Beasts, Like you can expect, with no doubt, that it's gonna be more Rizal cards coming out next year, You can expect that there's gonna be more Malice cards coming out next year. But something like the Terminal Revenge seems like a one-off thing, So that's part of the issue with this, you know. So just important things to keep in mind when that comes around. Now, it's pretty much what I got for what is the ROTA format, no? And I think it's gonna be interesting to see how the format end up panning out. And I think something with Resolve is that the deck is so adaptive that we do have the opportunity to change the deck depending on how we see the format is doing. And right now, personally, I still feel that the ball breaking approach is the way to go. And having that side deck where you have around 10 cards that can, realistically play against the Fuwalos, realistically help you keep playing, I think that's going to be important to have there, especially the Ash Blossoms. Might put those in the main deck. Have to think about that. So, yeah. Now, a couple of other things I want to mention is that the deck has kept evolving through all these times, and I feel normally there's not much attention brought to this stuff. And I know I think Jojo and Shu make videos about some of the new combos against Nip. But one thing is that the combos has also changed. The combos that don't do with Nip, some of them has also evolved. So one thing that I do with the list here is that you always have the combos, the new combos that were discovered like 3 weeks ago now, have this new line in here, but now has these newer lines. And one thing that is interesting, if you're playing the deck, a combo that has been modified now, that there is a slightly better line, is the Elder Rampengu combo. And I was very surprised about this because you have these Elder Rampengu's combos that is a combo that we have been doing for a long time, but now it's updated. And it gives you an extra, I believe you have now in the Embor, I believe is Nochi now instead of Kanaha there. We point out where the exchange make, and by the way, shout out to Glitch for finding this combo out. We basically have a similar starter, no? Like you go ahead and you send the Lara. All this look normal for now. And these are Nibiru lines, no? Against Nibiru lines, no? So you have the when. Activate this. Now it comes to change. So now with Rampengu, you banish Apelio. So before here you will go, I believe you will go Kanaha here. Now you go Apelio. And you go into Kimufalco, you banish. You go when, and then one thing in here that he did in the combo that you can do differently is that you can go Lara instead. And that way you can have something more banished, One of these three could be banished, it could be Utirreotari. So that's something I might update this DB replay just to include that. But that's something I might be able to include it, yeah. So like that. This, you bring this back, and basically the rest of the combo pan out more or less the same. But in the end of the combo, you end up with a better Embor now, which I found really cool. So you go, and all this is stuff that we already do, no? Like this, some protos, other states, and then you have a slightly better Embor here. So yeah, so I found that pretty cool. So I want to mention that, and I realize it's almost noon here. So the other thing I want to mention today, at least to cover, is that I'm thinking maybe I will play some games, but I might stream again this afternoon. I'm thinking about it. I might stream some games because I need to get some practice with it. I'm kind of getting back to it. I took a break for like 3 weeks, I think, where I'm very focused on a big project I have right now going on for the channel, but I haven't been doing that many haven't played that much, you know. So yeah. And I saved these packs. This is from like, these are quite old actually, from like a month and a half ago. But I've been saving it to open it in the stream, so I thought, you know, may as well just open it today. Yeah, Siron, let me send you the link right now. Copy the list. Here we go. All right. And we're looking in here. We're looking for anything that will help us pay for a Fuwalos. So that's basically what we want. So one of the fusions, we have the Doradora, Tempai stuff. So anything that can help us with a Fuwalos, you know. A QCR would be nice. Anything that can make a Fuwalos cheaper, I can trade in for a Fuwalos. Ooh, okay, that's pretty good. That secret in 5 packs. It's the Astera. I love these cards. I love these white forest cards. I just never got into making the deck, you know, and that's one thing I personally don't like with playing Ritual Beast. I feels like you're so focused on content for it that it's making it hard. Oh my god, my camera did focus. It's making it hard to find other decks to play, you know, invest time on it. You anticipate running Fuwalos in the main. If you happen to stumble upon 3, hopefully I happen to stumble upon 3, but I'm thinking probably depend on the build, you know. Like right now, personally, I'm not including the main deck. I haven't decided. One thing with Fuwalos that we were mentioning earlier is that Fuwalos does make it so we have Fuwalos does make it so we have how can I say, you are stronger going second, but it's also a break on first, you know. So that's something you have to think about. And there is a way to play around it, you know, like, well, play around it is a way to put it, no? But we're talking about earlier, if you check, and I'm gonna put this on YouTube, I'm gonna put at least the first part of the stream today on YouTube. But there is ways in which you can go ahead and do short combos, you know. Each one back up that with hand traps, that's an alternative. Or you can go ahead and, so there's 3 different ways. So short combos, and you back those up with hand traps. You can play like what I'm doing right now, that is that you're playing the board breakers, and you are siding in up to 10 different cards that can help you against Fuwalos. So you have 6 floodgates, 3 of them shifter and 3 other floodgates, and you have 3 ash, and you have a Calvi to help you against Fuwalos. So that's one approach. The other approach is that you can go ahead and use you can decide that you want to go for just blind second, and you can run around 12 really good, you know, you go 3 Fuwalos, 3 Mulcharmys, and you go around 6 to 9 board breakers. And the idea is that you end up stumbling into 2 board breakers, or a board breaker and a way to play and have extenders, and are able to break the board, no? And if you blind second, you don't have to worry about Fuwalos, because, you know, it's only going first card, no? So that's another approach, just blind second. Game 1. Now the third approach would be to have sort of like a something in between, no? And that will be, you can play Fuwalos in the main deck and include it with other hand traps. And the good thing about that approach is that if you're going first and you draw Fuwalos, you still has options in which you can use your Fuwalos to you can go for a short combo and in Kanaha use Kanaha effect in your opponent's turn, summon back the Kanaha attack out as cost, activate Fuwalos, and summon back your 2 monsters, no? So that's a way that you can go about it. Cerberus. So there is different things we can try, you know. There's definitely things we can try. So I feel that while obviously, you know, the format is gonna be different, most of the decks, you know, pretty much everyone is gonna be dealing with the same stuff, you know. Like I feel and another thing I want to mention, just a couple of things more. There is 3 other alternatives that we need to try out. So one is that we can run, and I think Jojo mentioned this in his video, we can run Trust, and you can go Trust, and that's gonna give you 3, 4 plus the card that you search, no? With the card that you search, if you're playing one of like a dimensional barrier, different dimensional wall, stuff like that, you're able to Trust into those. Also another alternative, another thing you can do that I'm including in my deck list right now is that I have Baguska. Baguska can be, you know, your normal summon Kanaha. Obviously this will be 2 draws, so it's no idea, no? But in the bad hands, like your normal summon Kanaha, you banish for Lara effect, special Rampengu, you just go Baguska there, no? And that way you get them 2 draws, but that backup with some hand traps might still be able to kill you in the game, you know? Or you go, the other alternative with that is that you also can play Bonds, and that way you can go like either Kanaha, Fuse, you search your Steeds, or you search Bonds if you already has Steeds, you defuse, you go ahead and Fuse again, you search Bonds, and you can go for alternatives that you have Bonds into Ulti Ray, and you can still continue to play, you know? So there is alternatives, you know, there's things that we can try out. Balmonica card. Mon and Sylvie. So yeah, so I think there is a lot to think about, you know. I don't think it's all like all just we are doomed, there's still not the world, you know. I feel that there is things that we can do. I love Balmonica cards, I just love the artwork. But I feel that, man, I really wish this text was just a little bit better, you know, because it's also cheap now. So that's Stellar. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I totally run Trust in the side with Ball Breakers. It's been doing well for me so far. Yeah. And one more thing about the deck in general is that the Ritual Beast deck is very... It depends a lot about the players, you know. Like, I like that the deck is a deck that will give you the opportunity to actually, you know, if you're a really good player, you are able to show it with the deck, you know. You're able to go ahead and you're able to showcase that you're a good player with the deck. The deck is a huge difference between somebody that is good with the deck and somebody that is not as good with the deck, you know. Somebody doesn't know all the combo lines, all that stuff, no? So yeah. Right. So I think that's all I wanted to cover today. One thing I'm gonna do, and I might stream this afternoon, I'm not sure yet, because I do wanna start playing more games, you know. I took a break for like 3 weeks of playing, so I wanna get back to it. I wanna start playing, probably start playing EDO Pro for now. So I do wanna start doing that. So I might stream this afternoon, but next weekend is the 10-year anniversary of the deck, of the cards being released. So if you look in the what's the name? SP Booster Tribal Force. So this is the set in which the deck was released in the OCG, and it was released in Japan in October 11. So it basically is going to be 10 days since the original cards were released. So for that, I'm working on a secret project that is related to that. I'm going to reveal in due time, and it's taking me way longer than expected. So I'm gonna be doing like Konami, and it's gonna be like quarter century, and it's gonna be like a month and a half after. So it's gonna be 10-year celebration, and it's gonna be like January or something. But I got this, and I think this is pretty cool. I managed to get my hands on some of the original SP boosters. This is the Korean version. But yeah, this stuff, if you see the year there, it says 2014. So this is the original set in which the Ritual Beast cards debut in the OCG. So I think it's pretty cool. I managed to get my hands on some of this. So I'm gonna be opening some of this next weekend. And I'm trying to see if I can line up interview with someone, you know, to get a little bit about the deck. So yeah. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Thank you, Sekuri. So that stuff is gonna be really cool. So apart from that, I am today gonna go and take a break. I'm gonna go ahead and eat something. I'm gonna do stuff. Gonna do a couple of things around the house since Sunday. I'm gonna probably come back this afternoon. I might come back in a couple of hours actually. We'll see. And I will go ahead and also wanna get this video what we stream early. I wanna get that ready to upload too. So I wanna work on that stuff, and I might see you guys later today. So appreciate you guys showing up, and I will post again on my. I might make another post. Yeah, I probably will make another post on Twitter, and I should actually show that stuff out just in case you wanna follow me. So I might make another post in Twitter, or I might go ahead and I probably will upload another video to my YouTube channel. With mentioning that I'm going live. So yeah, I appreciate you guys showing up. And I will see you guys this afternoon. If not, I'll probably do the stream on likely it's gonna be on Saturday this coming weekend. So I'll see you guys then or later today. Thank you for watching. Alright, so that was the live stream I had on Sunday, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you were there live in the live stream, I want to thank you for watching the live stream. And also next time I'm gonna get a better anticipation. I'm gonna mention before when the live stream is gonna be, because I know I don't stream that often. Plan to change that, plan to do it, try to do every weekend. That will be probably Saturday and Sunday mornings. I try to at least have one live stream in the week. So yeah, so I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna also try to promote the live streams better during the week. I had some driver issues during the recording, but I think it went pretty well in general. And we covered the ROTA format. That is the thing I want to talk about on it. So if you want to tune into the next live stream, actually I'm live streaming on Saturday. I'm going to be live streaming a 10-year celebration for the deck, because actually on October 11, I believe, in the OCG was released the set SP Booster Tribal Force. That's the set in which the Ritual Beast cards first debut. So actually I got some of those booster sets. So we're going to be opening a couple of those, and we're going to go ahead and play a lot of the format. We're going to be playing a lot of particular, I want to test not only for this format, I want to test for code breakers. So we're going to see if we can find some matches. Hopefully we get to face some Malice, face some Raziels, and see how the deck perform in that format. So it's going to be super interesting, and I hope you guys can make it. Again, that's going to be on Saturday. I think going to start live stream 8 a.m. Central Time in the US, and so guys are in Europe, I believe that's around 3 p.m. Central European Time. I'm gonna put in the screen if I'm wrong. And that will be at twitch.tv/EdYGO channel. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and if you like the video, go ahead and give it a like. I'm working on a big video, big video for the channel right now. If you want to keep an eye out for that, you can go ahead and subscribe. And nothing else, I will see you guys on the live stream on Saturday. Thank you.